The demise of affirmative action has led to plenty of divisive reactions from both sides of the aisle as we now assess what the future holds for the college admissions process. Joining me now to discuss, Matt Lieberman, a former candidate for the Georgia Senate and publisher of the Lieberman Files on Substack. Also with us, Melanie Collette, former vice chair of the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women. So, Matt, I'll start off with you first. I don't even like to say affirmative action. This is race-based admissions. So basically the Supreme Court ruled that you can't admit somebody solely based on their race. This is a good thing for America, right? I mean, I don't understand how anybody could want to advocate for somebody to get in somewhere or not get in somewhere simply based on the color of their skin, because we saw that Asian Americans specifically were being they were being racist against them.
Well, 100%. And, you know, the college admissions game is really a game, and there are different angles that people play. But the problem with this angle, racism, as you say, is that it's unconstitutional. And really, the Supreme Court actually ruled that clearly in 1978 in the Bakke decision. And as a result of that, we had all these other sort of designs and subsequent Supreme Court rulings that hinged on diversity. But that was always just a kind of mishmash, and it never really made sense. And I think this Supreme Court ruling sets things back in a more American place in terms of not discriminating based on race, one race against another.
Absolutely. Now, Melanie, there's a group called Lawyers for Civil Rights, which has sued Harvard over their alleged preference for legacy applicants. This lawsuit seemed inevitable, I can't speak, after the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action. Does this have any merit in your opinion?
You know, I'm not sure it does. I was reading the argument and I'm going, okay, but I'm not seeing the part where they're discriminating against people based on something that is illegal. To, you know, Mr. Lieberman's point, you know, the case against affirmative action was that it was unconstitutional, you know, therefore illegal. But with the legacy situation, it does not seem that that is the case, at least not from what I was reading about this case. I read and I'm like, okay, but where's the meat here? As far as them, to me, it's just like any other private institution or any other kind of sale, if you will, being part of a club where you get preferential treatment if you're related to someone who was a part of that club before. It's no different in my mind. So, and just because, you know, and it's against Harvard of all places. There's like 12 billion other places that you could go to school. I don't see it as being problematic, but.
Yeah, Matt, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, no, I agree. And legacy is one of the games that people play. And, you know, a school might embrace the policy because it helps the school in certain ways. It might be against it. That would be okay. I agree it's not unconstitutional. But the stupid thing, really, Lawyers for Civil Rights, I presume, is filing this case because they want more racial diversity. But what they're failing to grasp is we've had affirmative action in place for 45, 50 years. There have been affirmative action kids who have become affirmative action parents who now have their own kids who would benefit from the legacies. And in fact, after this Supreme Court decision, I don't know if there's any better way for a college or university that wants to maintain stable levels of racial diversity than to use the legacy system, because there are legacies of color now. But they're so hyped up about getting at I don't know, white privilege or whatever it is, or making their point that they don't realize they're really biting off their nose to spite their face here.
Absolutely. And Melanie, in the last segment, we discussed Biden's latest bailout for student loan borrowers. What do you make of this? I mean, do people not realize this is a farce? This is a way to buy votes?
Well, of course, it's a way to buy votes, and it's probably going to go the same way that the last policy went up to the Supreme Court, and bye-bye. It's a bait and switch. It's an advertisement to do something that they know they're not able to do. And you know, there's a saying: "Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." That's what this is. You would be foolish to fall for this trick again, in my opinion, because it's absolutely an election cycle trick.
Right. And this is all kind of interconnected, I feel like. It's the Biden administration, basically, I hate to maybe sound a little crude, giving the middle finger to democracy, trying to circumvent the Supreme Court justices. It's out of control. And then you have the left-wing media who is acting in concert with the Biden administration. I want to get, what do you make of it?
Well, I'll tell you, people enter into agreements for student loans, and usually maybe they wish they didn't have to have them, but they're glad to have them because it enables them to continue their education. Those are contracts, and they can pile up. It could be really difficult. And that's an issue for the country to deal with somehow. You don't want people saddled with debt forever and ever and ever. But I think during COVID, a climate developed of magical thinking where if there was a problem, we could just say, abracadabra, no more student loans, and everyone happy. And that's not how the world works. And I don't believe this will fly, and I don't think it should fly. I think there should be some way to keep people from being saddled, particularly by higher student loan rates for years and years and decades, but not just erase so much, just like that, like magic.
Right, to give any person, a president, the unilateral power to simply wave this magic wand and take away someone's debt. It's a slippery slope. Who's next?
Right, who's next and what's next? What's the next set of contracts that the executive of the government is going to say, no, we're going to erase those?
Matt and Melanie, thank you guys so much for being with us this evening.
Okay, thank you.